I started to teach one course in film. I I would like to say that I planned out my life down to the last everything. I don't plan much at all. I tend to, and I mean this in a good sense, take advantage of what opportunity might present itself at any given moment and see where that takes me. I admire people who have a long game plan, where they know what they're doing, know where they're going. I admire that. I tend not to think that way. At least I'm not conscious of it. I might, but I'm not conscious of it. All I know is I started teaching these courses. I loved the courses, and so did the students. So it wasn't. I didn't think beyond that at that point. But I did get asked questions by faculty members saying, "What do you do in a film course, Larry? You just turn on the projector and you leave the room, right? I mean, you don't. What are you teaching? It's film. What are you teaching? They're movies." And you have to remember my own background is pretty much blue collar. I mean, my father worked in a foundry. I was a product of public schools, except for Syracuse, which was a private university. I, like almost every other teacher at Keene State College, came from a blue collar background with that kind of, I have to call it a work ethic, I guess, and a certain awareness, even though I hadn't really fully shaped it in my mind yet, that this was an ex-state teachers college who, when I got there, only 5 years before, had been Keene Teachers College. It had only changed in 1964 from not even offering BAs or BSs. It only offered BEDs, Bachelor of Education. That's all they offered. And so I was part of a wave of teachers that came in 3 waves. About 1966, a bunch of teachers came in, Janet Grayson and others, as the first wave of teachers to fill the demand that going from Keene Teachers College to Keene State College demanded. I was part of the second wave of a group of teachers. We called ourselves the class of '69. It was Bill Sullivan and Sam Mazzaro and Chuck Hildebrandt and Stu Goff and Kay Saucier. I know I'm skipping somebody. Klaus Baer. There were a bunch of us. We used to have reunions, go out to dinner all the time. Okay. The class of '69. Then there was another wave around '71, and then it stopped. We were all children of the '60s. And whether or not we had protested or taken part in all that stuff, we were affected by it. I mean, when I was defending my dissertation at Syracuse University, out the window of the room we were in, I could hear Abby Hoffman with a megaphone leading an anti-war protest at Syracuse University. So even though I was busy being a student and not so much involved in student protests, that didn't happen until later, I very much believed in democratic approach to change and social change. And that people would take a snobbish attitude towards film upset me on an elemental level. By that I mean, how dare you say that? I mean, and it didn't take much research to show me that Shakespeare, the person I've been teaching, had he lived in the 20th century, would have used a film camera. I mean, I was teaching courses of films by Hitchcock and Dreyer and Bergman and John Ford, whose the only difference is they weren't using a pen, they were using a camera. And I wasn't going to tolerate, I mean, I was polite about it, but this kind of boneheaded prejudice against what I was doing, especially at Keene State. But I think what offended me the most were statements like this. This is an ex-teachers college. Why would such a program be here? I said, this is where it belongs. Film programs, I could tell. I mean, I already had looked. They're at expensive schools. Keene State College doesn't cost that much. Why shouldn't they have the right to have these courses? What? Because they're going to Keene State College, you shouldn't take them? That's stupid. I mean, I was getting my back up about it and trying to make a case for kind of egalitarianism in education, which you'd think would be a no-brainer, but I was wrong. So as a consequence, the people left me alone about that and let me go my own way. I think they were getting a little afraid of me. But also, I think they left me alone because I had a PhD in a field. I had written a book, a couple of articles, so they knew that I had some bona fides as far as the world of academia goes, even if it was in this alien, second-rate form known as film, which is right exactly the way they were going to say. That's been an uphill battle ever since. Even now, in the 21st century, you talk to my colleagues, because I'm still teaching, in the film department, they have to put up with still prejudicial observations from their colleagues. They still don't get it. It's because of film's background as a toy when it first started out, and then as a form of entertainment for the masses. I tell you, I've gone so far now, I've become very radical in my thinking about all this. I'm not even sure I believe in a distinction between popular culture and high culture anymore. I'm beginning to think that was an artificial distinction made up at some point. I mean, I really don't understand it. Shakespeare, in his own time, would have been considered a popular product. His works would have been popular culture. He didn't even take his plays all that seriously. He refused to have them published till he was dead. They weren't published till he was dead. Let me rephrase that. 1623. Some were published, but in pirated copies, because serious drama was not on the stage. Serious drama was serious art would have been lyric poetry, high poetry, things like that. Not drama. Drama was for the masses. Film is for the masses. The other way in which film seemed so necessary to me was that, I remember when I thought this. I was teaching a course in Hitchcock. It was early on. We were watching Psycho, and afterwards I thought to myself, this is a very complex film. But think about the people who went to see it. There were probably some illiterate people, high school grads. There were college teachers as well. There were highly educated people. There were people of wealth. There were a lot of poor people. They all went to see Psycho. They all got something out of it. They didn't get quite the same thing. That was the same way it was with audiences watching Hamlet. They were standing there. They'd paid a shilling or something like that, or a pence, to stand there and eat oranges and walnuts while they stood for 4 hours watching a play. And they ate the illiteracy rate in the late 16th century was 85% of people couldn't read or write, and they were getting a huge amount out of the play, as those highly educated aristocrats who were sitting on the stage or up in the boxes. You had a mixed audience, just like film. So, it seemed to me I could make a really good case for film being. Yeah. So that was really my thinking at the time, and how I came really to take almost a rebellious stance towards why I was doing what I was doing. The question to me would be, why not?